Wonderful. Who's Doug?
Yeah, you said Doug.
I said Doug. I was trying to remember your name. I was trying to remember 1,000 names.
I often get, I don't actually get Doug ever, but that's a good one. I'll add to the list. Hi everyone, my name is RJ Thompson. I'm an interactive design professor at Youngstown State University. Before I begin, I just want to thank those of you that are on Twitter and live tweeting this. Thank you for sharing such great content. My presentation is available on my website, imrjthompson.com, if you'd like to download it and follow along. Otherwise, let me sync up here and we'll get started. Okay, so my presentation today is on a project that I've been working on since 2009 called Study. And Study is an open, flexible, and customizable online education tool, all right? Otherwise known as an LMS. It's specifically built for visual learners in art and design fields of study. And this is a very boring red icon that is the logo. Where did this all begin? So in 2009, I was teaching at a private Catholic school, and I found that a lot of my students were posting their design work in progress on social media, be it Facebook or Twitter, and that was a very dangerous scenario, as a lot of these students were connected to professionals in Pittsburgh that were seeing this work and either determining that this work is bad, or the program in which they are learning is bad. And I wanted to offer students a worry-free, secure, private website where they can post this work in progress and get critiques from it, not only from fellow students, but also from engaged professionals and other faculty. So why does this matter? Study can measure the impact of how visually driven course content can enhance retention, learning outcomes, social experiences, and content delivery. And I have a lot of images that I'll be happy to show you here in a few. So bear with me as we get through some of the text-heavy slides. It's important to me that this project was as open source as possible. I want to be able to share this resource with you, my peers, or perhaps educators in other disciplines. I've had people from sociology, psychology, geography reach out to me to possibly use this in their classes. The first and current version uses WordPress, which is a free open source framework. Any of you familiar with WordPress? Great, quick, easy, simple to use. If you can use Microsoft Word, you can definitely use WordPress. Taking that framework and combining it with very specific plugins to create this system was really where this all began. So if it wasn't open source, I wanted to make it as reasonably attainable as possible, cost-wise. Core fundamentals, critical goals in design and development. Assessment. So I've been very fortunate in that I've gotten a few assessment grants from my university and some other sources to fund this work. And Study is actually able to mathematically assess these different types of interactions and participation. So that's sort of the core behind why I was awarded money for this work. Students are able to post their work, not just images, but PDFs, audio files, video files. There are megabyte restrictions on that, but nothing too crazy. They are able to be assessed by posting links, resources, conversations they're having with others, be it one-on-one or in groups, status updates a la Facebook, at replies a la Twitter, and blog entries. So there's a writing component to this that I won't really get into that's very specific on the blog side. Critical thinking. So the conceptual development that is being released on Study, it's absolutely vital to not only the progress of my students and their skills and their talents, but also their character, being able to withstand a critique, be it in person or online. Sometimes the online reviews can be particularly scathing, speaking generally, and referencing the trolls out there in the world. But students upload their works in progress on Study without fear of negative impact, and they can get that feedback and transform it over time. So over one particular creative process, no matter how many iterations, there could be 20. They could add each update to the platform. Social networking, connecting to peers. So creating accounts on Study is particularly easy, but I want to have this built-in where Facebook and or Twitter can connect. So for a time there was a Facebook page and I was posting students' work with their permission and they were getting good feedback from that. And that Facebook page actually acted as a good draw, a good attraction point for those that were in my classes. So I had alumni from that school at the time join and start to contribute. Observing the creative process on Study is particularly fun, especially since you can actually observe it without participating. So, Lisa, I'll use you as an example. You could post 50 different images of your work in progress, and I can just be on the side watching and then choose when I want to comment. Having led these classes and within which Study was used, it was fun to be able to see this progress and not say anything and let the students contribute and offer these different opinions. Students are encouraged to share their work and challenge others to do the same. Hopefully it's a motivating factor. There were students that were terrified to do this, which point I made it mandatory for participation grade. Yeah. And then I wanted to keep people coming back. So part of the problem I have had in the past is once the semester's over, they're gone. Or if they have me again the following semester, there's a month where there's no interaction. So I want people to benefit from repeat visits, particularly where the content is applied. So by offering quality content frequently, just like you would find on Facebook or Twitter, it would all be housed in Study. I want people to keep coming back as much as possible and interact. It's very, very hard to do that. Very, very difficult. I have some collaborators now, one from Shepherd University in West Virginia and the other from Drake University in Iowa, and they're having the same issues with maintaining participation. So of course they make it mandatory, but again, once that grade is done, they drop off a little bit. So I have to re-engineer the social aspect of this. But the prospect of using Study in fine art programs is particularly attractive to me, or other programs unrelated to art. It's a very general, one-stop shop kind of boxed platform. So, phases, versions 1 through 9. Again, this started in 2009, and I'm still working on this. I refuse to use Blackboard in my classes. Do you guys use Blackboard at all? Yeah, I absolutely refuse to do that, despite the fact that we're encouraged to do so. What's ultimately ironic is that my department has a hesitation to online learning in the first place. I'm really the only person that's doing it. But Study is very much my replacement for Blackboard. And one of the things that I learned throughout my discoveries in this project is that infrastructure for this project is very difficult. So the first phase, I had to acquire reliable technology. I couldn't use a shared server. If you have your own website, your own hosting plan, more than likely, you are on a shared server, meaning here's a box, it's a server, and your website's in there with a million other ones, and the more bandwidth and traffic that hits that server, the more the degradation of service on that server. So I had to acquire a virtual private server, or a VPS. VPSs annually are expensive. I drop at least $400 a year on a VPS.
AWS.
But, what's that?
AWS?
I do not use AWS, no. I should. That's a whole other thing. But thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, so I'm using a VPS. It's costly. Fortunately, the grant is supporting that. And I have some other things budget-wise that will continue to fund it. With the VPS supporting the LMS, and I can control the server, so I have to reboot it, I can. I can focus now on the aesthetics, the interface, the UX. So that first phase, I don't even want to show it to you. It's awful, all right? But I got that infrastructure in place. I focus on the interactive interface designs. The second and third second used one template, third used another. Just trying to clean up and modify and streamline that interface so that it's easy to use. I don't want to have to explain to my students how to use this website. There is some minimal explanation, but I don't want to have to take on support calls and answer emails, things like that. Overall, UX was met with mixed reactions. Some students didn't have an interest in the new designs, or rather learning new designs every semester. So I needed to apply some consistency. So focusing on aesthetics, I decided in the fourth phase to opt into fleshing out the brand. Okay, so the critique folks, big Slab Serif fan. I love the parallels between our two projects. This was the original handle. Study is actually a nickname for studentsofdesign.com, which is no longer an active domain. But if you follow me on Twitter @studentofdesign, you see that through a lot of my branding. It's still intact. Study, branding it, gave this an entirely different worldview, and the students took it more seriously. And of course, in phase 5, typical designer, not satisfied with what they did in the first place, I changed it. And I'm not going to show you what that looked like. Phases 6 and 7, with phase 6, I actually enjoyed 2 years of consistent usage with my designers. And at this point, I'm at Youngstown. I'm at Youngstown State. So new technologies were improving study at a quick pace. I had trouble catching up. The VPS was intact, but new WordPress plugins, new security issues became a concern. Trying to catch up was difficult. Having all the bells and whistles available to you, by the way, does not necessarily make for a memorable or meaningful experience for your website. And it sure as hell degrades your server. So I experienced a lot of downtime in those 2 phases. This is the 7th iteration of study. One thing I want to pay attention to here are these 4 squares. So in all of our classes, we have 18 design classes in our curriculum. I went through and branded every single one just with a different color, different shape, keeping it simple. So this is a clean interface, short to the point, includes interactive media. You can sync iCal with class start times, project assignment due dates, etc. There is Facebook integration, so you didn't actually have to remember your password. You just click log into Facebook and you're there. Students really loved that ability. And it was easy to set up. This is what the course listings look like. So Intro to Interactive Design, Fall 2014. You know, right now there's 2 students in it. You join the course and that content is always available to you. So at the end of that particular semester, you know, let's say it's a year afterwards, students could still log in and access that information, access the conversations that were being had, so on and so forth. It's very much a living moment in time. This is a simple activity stream, so you can see what I'm adding to my courses. This is great in terms of instructor accountability, but also student accountability. So if they have a question, well, when's such and such due? Look at the activity stream. Don't ask me again. It's right there. They could also access other people's websites, look at notifications they receive, see who their friends are. Yes, they can make friends just like they could on Facebook. Check out forums, other groups, etc. Use a visual editor for WordPress because I wanted to make this easy not only for my students to manipulate, but also peer instructors either at the university or outside. So this is an example of what that WYSIWYG construction looks like. If you know WordPress, I mean, it's relatively easy. So, the 8th phase. This is where I took on colleagues, and 2 of you in here I pitched already. I'll get you eventually. Neil with Drake University had a lot of success using study in his classes. Now he has smaller classes, so it's much more manageable. Shannon, inversely, did not have a lot of success with it because she had a larger class size. Also, she half implemented it. She didn't make it required for participation. She didn't post content as she should have. She's relatively new to teaching, so she's still feeling out her style of teaching. So I don't blame her on that. Pardon me. This is the 8th phase. It has a very clean, flat aesthetic to it. Site-wide activity, I can post an update using @ symbols to contact people. You can see my groups, my favorites. Students were having conversations here. What's really beautiful about this, and I love this the most, is that my students could talk to Christina at Drake University. They could share stories, share work, even share course content. So Neil and I were kind of working our web design classes to work in tandem, despite the fact that I was teaching intro and he was teaching in advance. So there's a lot of learning in this atmosphere taking place. Posting links to work, posting videos, more content. Mobile responsive. Students are able to access this on their phone or their tablet. Very clean, stacked, vertical composition. A little messy at times, but if I only had the time to clean all that up. This is what a typical course page would look like. So this is my Intro to Interactive Design course. And again, it's branded. So I'm branding it with colors to keep it simple. And this matters in a few slides from now. So documents is available. You can see who's in the class. You can invite others to be in the class, see what activities are going on. And there's one other feature that I'm going to hold off on till the end to show you. This is what Drake's profile looked like. Shepherd. The blog. So all three of us were actively blogging at the time, building industry partnerships, particularly with Try My UI and AppSpotter. This is all private, by the way. You have to have a username and password to access this. So if you go to study.youngstowndesignworks.com now, you can't get in. Locked down. File repository on a responsive. Same with the class, except that shows the class listing. This here, this is wonderful, and this is what I'm talking about with the assessment. So 92 activity updates, 18 added group documents, 1 group created. I can track all of these activities, and I can streamline my system to better accommodate the interests of the students. And it does it in a really nice circular chart. It's a little messy. So, under the hood, here's some of the branding, different shades here, which will come into play in a little bit. YouTube, Vimeo, podcast, Pinterest, Twitter, and Facebook all build into Study relatively effectively. You just need to have a correct API. And I also build mobile apps. So those also plug into Study as well, and I'll show you momentarily. Experiences on version 8 from the faculty. Easy to use in concept, easy to navigate, easy to manage grades, attendance, content, blogging and plugins, allow for more content, lesson diversity, difficulty with tech support. It's ADA compliant. If any of you know what that is, you know how big of a deal that is. So being ADA compliant is huge. Student experiences, looks cool, works on a mobile, Facebook login, connects with the mobile apps. I lost my password. Deal with that way too much. And I may be disengaged from class. Wordpress Multi-Site is being used on the back end with the RT theme. Believe it or not, that does not stand for Robert Thompson. It is a purchased theme. I'm using BuddyPress for social networking. Facebook, Twitter login integrations with a VPS, Visual Composer for editing. WooCommerce, there's an element to this that can actually monetize my classes if I wanted to. And Google Analytics, of course, for that data. 19 total plugins, of which most are Surface, so they're not degrading the server. I think I found the nice balance here of combined plugins. So, version 9. Long-term retention requires social connectivity. Tech must be open source or relatively affordable. I wanted to convert study into more of a resource hub driven by folks like us, develop partnerships with folks like you, and offer it for free for implementation. So if you don't want to partner with me, but you would like to use what I've built, it's yours. Have it. Do something cool with it. Improve upon it. Increase multimedia, streamline content for ADA, and make participation worth a grade. That's definitely a consistent one. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead here and show you the mobile app. So all of these build into Study. These were built using, at the time, Objective-C and Xcode, particularly Intro, Intermediate, and History. Intro to Type is a much, much older one that I built in 2010, and if you download it, you can see how crappy it is. History of Design just does not work with the latest upgrade, so don't even bother, but Intro and Intermediate do work. And I love this branding on my screen. I'm so happy to see that. And hey, guess what? At least in my school, this is peer-reviewed. Build some apps, folks. You can see it in the App Store. This is the interface. Clean, visual, short to the point. And thank you for your time and interest. I really appreciate it.